Picture this. You're sitting on a private, secluded island somewhere deep in the Caribbean.
Oh, sounds terrible already.
Right. The evening breeze is perfect. The sky is painting a sunset so gorgeous that it basically makes postcards obsolete.
Setting the scene. I like it.
You are sitting there perfectly at peace, breastfeeding your newborn son, just looking down at him and wondering about his future.
Going through all those typical new parent thoughts.
Exactly. Wondering what traits he might have inherited from you. Will he have your eyes, your laugh, or perhaps will he inherit your ability to casually lift the back end of a stuck delivery truck with one hand while sipping a cup of coffee with the other?
It is quite the jarring image to open a story with, I have to say.
It really is.
Because 1 second you are firmly planted in this tranquil, highly relatable family drama, and the very next second, bam.
The ground just drops out from under you.
Exactly. You are thrown headfirst right into superhuman territory.
And that jarring transition is exactly the narrative bomb we are exploring today. So, welcome to our latest deep dive.
Glad to be here for this one. It's a wild ride.
Today, we are unpacking a really fascinating look at sci-fi world building and character development. Our source material for this journey is a transcript from the Indie Fringe podcast.
A great show, by the way.
Yeah, they do great work. The hosts over there were reviewing the first chapter of a new indie sci-fi novel available on Kindle Unlimited. It's called Grace, Raising a Target by Anthony Miracho.
And it is definitely not your average superhero story.
Not at all. Our mission today is to extract the unexpected ways this story subverts those traditional superhero tropes.
Because it really blends superhuman abilities with the very grounded, very human anxieties of motherhood.
Motherhood, international espionage, and just utter isolation.
Okay, let's unpack this. Where does a person with truck lifting strength even come from in this universe?
Well, it all starts with a tragic, yet totally fascinating medical diagnosis. If we look at the origin story of our protagonist, Grace, it begins before she is even born.
Right, her mother. Her mother, Dr. Elena Montez. She receives the kind of news that would just devastate any expectant parent.
Oh, absolutely.
She is told that her unborn baby has a catastrophic bone disorder. And the source material describes this condition in a way that is both poetic and terrifying.
How do they phrase it again?
They say the baby's bones will be brittle as spun sugar.
Brittle as spun sugar. Wow. It paints such a vivid, heartbreaking picture. You can instantly understand the desperation a mother would feel hearing that.
You really can.
But Elena doesn't just accept this fate. And this brings us to a unifying theme of the entire story, love as an uncontrollable force of nature.
Because Elena isn't just a mother, she happens to be a brilliant doctor.
Right, so she goes to unimaginable extremes. She turns her own basement into a secret, high-tech laboratory.
As you do.
As you do. And she begins experimenting on herself and, by extension, her unborn child. The source mentions she uses retroviruses and modified gene editing compounds to try and fix the disorder.
Which is just a profound escalation of medical science. When the source mentions retroviruses, I want you to think of them like biological hackers.
Biological hackers. Okay, explain that a bit.
Well, in the real world, a typical virus infects a cell and uses it to replicate until the cell dies. But a retrovirus actually inserts its own genetic material directly into the DNA of the host cell.
It literally rewrites the source code.
Exactly. It rewrites the code. Elena was essentially using these biological hackers to rewrite her unborn daughter's corrupted genetic code in real time.
And pairing them with gene editing compounds to force the body to build stronger structures.
It is a desperate gamble. A completely insane one, really.
Oh, but the shocking part is that it actually works. Grace is not born with bones made of spun sugar. Instead, she is born, as the source describes it, more than perfect.
We're talking about bone density that is just off the charts.
Telescopic vision. The physical reflexes of a jungle cat.
What's fascinating here is how the narrative makes a very specific point about her abilities. Her greatest power, and the one that her mother nurtured the most carefully, wasn't her physical strength.
Wasn't the truck lifting?
No, or her reflexes. It was her mind. She is described as having a supercomputer trapped inside a super soldier's body.
Which sounds amazing, but
that brilliant mind sets up the core tension of the life she is forced to lead. Because having a mind that processes information at that speed isn't just a gift. It is a massive liability if the wrong people find out about it.
which is the inevitable consequence of unchecked scientific breakthroughs, right? I mean, a basement lab creating a perfect human doesn't stay a secret for long.
Never does. The research gets discovered.
But it's not the government that finds them. which is the usual trope you'd expect. Instead, it's a shadowy, ruthless terrorist organization known as Cerberus.
And the mythological reference there is pretty clear. The three-headed dog guarding the gates of the underworld.
Yeah, they were not exactly subtle with the branding. You immediately know these are not the good guys. They kidnapped Dr. Montez and 2-year-old Grace, pulling them into a secret underground facility.
Where they are forced to work in this bunker for an agonizing 10 years.
10 years underground.
Yeah. And it's during this decade of captivity that Elena teaches Grace her most crucial and perhaps her most painful survival lesson.
The masking lesson.
Right. She tells her daughter, you must learn to play mediocre, be average, be forgettable.
Oh,
I
man.
want you to really think about the psychological toll of that for a moment. This connects to a very real phenomenon we see in the world, often referred to as gifted kid burnout.
Or the masking behavior seen in neurodivergent individuals. Masking is such a good way to frame it.
It really is.
Imagine you are a child who can solve complex mathematical equations in your head before the teacher has even finished writing them on the chalkboard.
But you have to pretend to struggle. You have to actively suppress your own brilliance.
The source mentions Grace biting her tongue so hard that she tastes blood, just to maintain the illusion of being ordinary.
To constantly monitor every word you say, every reaction you have, just to ensure you never excel.
It breeds such a deep sense of isolation because you are never, ever allowed to be your authentic self. The cognitive dissonance of knowing the right answer but forcing yourself to fail that is a suffocating way to live.
But Grace doesn't stay suppressed forever. At 12 years old, which is incredibly young to be pulling this off, Grace manages to hack into the Cerberus mainframe.
12 years old.
I know. She breaks through their security, discovers their hidden plans to ignite a global war, and she exposes every single detail to the world's media.
To the media and international intelligence agencies, she basically hits the global alarm bell.
She sure does.
Now, in any normal story, this is the triumphant rescue moment. The helicopters swoop in, the heroes are saved, they get medals.
But this narrative flips that expectation, which is why the indie fringe hosts praise the book so highly.
Yeah, the twist is brutal.
The government intelligence agencies realize what has been happening in that bunker. They see the terrifying implications of Dr. Montez's gene editing research and the secrets Cerberus holds.
So instead of sending a rescue team,
The government sends a bomber.
they decide it is cleaner and safer to vaporize the entire facility, to just bury the secrets under rubble and ash rather than let them out into the world.
Wait, they drop bombs on a facility knowing a 12-year-old hostage is inside?
Yeah.
That is a brutal utilitarian calculus.
It is a breathtaking betrayal of the traditional rescue narrative. You think the good guys are coming, and instead, they send a missile.
It speaks to the cold pragmatism of institutional power in this universe. But Dr. Montez was anticipating this.
You knew too much.
Right, she understood the risks of the world they inhabited. So she had secretly built a bunker under the bunker.
Talk about bunkerception.
Exactly. As the bombs start raining down, she drags Grace into this hidden metal box beneath the facility.
And they actually survive the initial blast. They live in that tiny metal box buried under a destroyed terrorist base in the middle of the desert for an entire year.
It is a profound testament to their resilience, but it comes at the ultimate cost. The harsh reality of living in a sealed metal box takes its toll.
The source notes a deeply tragic detail here.
Yeah. Elena dies from the immense stress and the toxic exposure of their environment, and she passes away exactly 1 year to the very day after the government bombed the facility.
Leaving Grace completely alone.
Completely alone.
The imagery of what happens next is haunting. You have this 12-year-old described as the ghost of a girl crawling out of the wreckage into a barren desert. She walks for 2 days until a trucker finds her.
And from there, she leans entirely into that trauma response her mother instilled in her.
She vanishes.
She vanishes. Using a set of fake documents Elena prepared, she relocates to a quiet town in Latin America called San Francisco.
Which, as the podcast host joked, is the Latin American equivalent of Springfield. Every country has one.
It's the perfect place to hide. She takes the name Grace Gutierrez Montez. And for years, she lives an aggressively average life.
Average grades, unremarkable friends, never standing out.
But throughout all those years of forced mediocrity, she is carrying a secret. Before Elena died, she gave Grace a biometric briefcase.
Keyed exclusively to Grace's DNA.
Yes. She told her to guard it, use it wisely, and always stay hidden. For 5 years, Grace doesn't open it. It isn't until she is 17 years old that she finally cracks the code.
And what she finds inside changes the trajectory of her life. Here's where it gets really interesting, because the contents of this briefcase are the foundation for a shadow empire.
It's the ultimate starter kit for a super genius.
Exactly. She finds untraceable Swiss bank accounts and detailed instructions for creating ironclad digital identities. She finds her mother's handwritten notebook, which is filled with advanced theories on artificial intelligence and predictive algorithms.
And importantly, there's a third item.
The outline notes she finds a mysterious locked tube containing a white substance.
We don't know what it is yet.
No, we don't. But she sets it aside and focuses on the notebook. Grace is a 17-year-old with a supercomputer mind, and she suddenly has her hands on advanced AI theories. So she builds a self-learning artificial intelligence program designed to predict stock market movements.
To ground this in reality for a moment, think about real-world, high-frequency trading algorithms.
Right.
The stock market today is largely run by computers reacting to micro-changes in data faster than a human ever could. What Grace builds is the science fiction perfection of that concept.
Her AI isn't just reacting.
No, it is learning. It's predicting the butterfly effect of global events on financial markets with terrifying accuracy. She begins amassing unbelievable wealth from the shadows.
And she needs an alias to operate under. She chooses Mr. Rezesky.
I love the origin of this name.
Me too. It isn't some dark, brooding moniker. She names her phantom billionaire alter ego after the sight of a delivery truck she saw.
It is such a grounding human detail in the middle of this massive escalation of wealth and power.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, you can see how Grace is adapting her mother's lessons. She is still hiding. She is still a ghost.
But she is wielding immense power through this digital facade. We see exactly how powerful Mr. Rezesky is when a local crime lord named El Carnicero makes the fatal mistake of crossing her.
He hijacked a shipment of her microchips, right?
Exactly. Now that's a fascinating pivot. You'd think a superhuman whose property was stolen would use physical force.
Why do you think she chose to dismantle his empire digitally instead of just walking into his compound and punching through his walls?
Because physical violence leaves evidence. It leaves a trail. If a girl tears a steel door off its hinges, rumors spread about a superhuman.
And that draws the attention of the government that already tried to bomb her.
Exactly. Digital retaliation, however, maintains the illusion of Mr. Rezesky as this omnipresent, untouchable force. She can destroy him without ever revealing her physical existence or her location.
And the retaliation itself is a masterpiece of digital warfare. She doesn't fire a single bullet. She launches a pre-written virus from her laptop.
So efficient.
In an instant, she drains El Carnicero's illicit bank accounts, routing millions to children's charities with a polite note saying, "A gift from a concerned citizen."
I love that.
Then she leaks his gang's most guarded secrets to their fiercest rivals: drug routes, corrupt political contacts, safe houses.
And the best part, she even leaks El Carnicero's own mother's secret salsa recipe to the world.
That detail about the salsa recipe is brilliant psychological warfare. It isn't just a funny joke.
No, it's brutal. By leaking something so deeply personal and domestic, she is signaling to a terrifying cartel boss that she has absolute access to every corner of his life.
It demystifies him and humiliates him simultaneously. She completely dismantles his empire without ever leaving her chair.
It cements the mythos of Mr. Rezesky. By the time Grace is 21, she is a phantom trillionaire.
A trillionaire.
Yeah, the criminal underworld whispers that he is a literal ghost, a collective of rogue AIs, or maybe the devil himself.
No one tries to meet him because they are too terrified. As the source material points out, the lie was more useful than the truth.
Which brings us right back to the present day, to that beautiful private island in the Caribbean.
Grace has used her wealth to buy this island and turn it into an impenetrable fortress. She has a radar system so advanced it can track the heartbeat of a seagull flying over the beach.
She has built a perfectly safe bubble so that her newborn son, Mateo, can grow up free from the trauma and the running that defined her own childhood.
Imagine your Grace. You've spent your entire life hiding, masking your true self, surviving bombs and cartels, and now you finally have a sanctuary.
But having a child changes the equation entirely.
It really does.
This raises an important question. Can she truly keep him safe? Because we are looking at a profound paradox here. As Mr. Rezesky, Grace is untouchable. Legends, by their very nature, are solitary. They don't have vulnerabilities.
But now Grace has something she loves more than anything in the world. As the podcast host noted, she has a tiny, drooling, utterly extraordinary partner in crime.
Having ultimate power is one thing, but having ultimate vulnerability is something else entirely.
The anxieties of parenting are already overwhelming for anyone. Are they eating enough? Are they hitting their milestones? But for Grace, those anxieties are amplified by superpowers.
Based on the source, you have to wonder about the genetics of Elena's retrovirus modification. Can it be passed down to Mateo?
Imagine trying to hide a child from the world when they might start throwing super strength toddler tantrums that can shatter concrete.
Or what if he develops telescopic vision right in the middle of the game of peekaboo?
How do you run a global, shadowy financial empire while simultaneously trying to manage a superhuman infant?
It is a logistical nightmare. Furthermore, Grace cannot simply ignore the lingering threats of her past. The ghosts are still out there.
Think about Cerberus. The government bombed their facility, but it is highly unlikely that a global terrorist network was entirely eradicated in one strike.
There are likely survivors, or fragmented cells, who remember Dr. Montez and the girl.
And what about the government itself? They're the ones who dropped the bombs to keep the gene editing knowledge a secret.
If intelligence agencies are still searching for any remaining trace of that catastrophic research, Grace and Mateo are in grave danger.
If Mateo ever does something public that draws attention, that perfect island fortress could very quickly turn into a prison. They would be hunted all over again.
Exactly. The sanctuary she built relies entirely on absolute secrecy. If that secrecy is breached, her wealth and her AI won't be enough to stop a coordinated military strike or a targeted terrorist operation.
So what does this all mean? When you step back and look at the themes we've unpacked, this story shows us that the most gripping narratives aren't really about what a character can do.
Right. It isn't about lifting a delivery truck or building an AI that predicts the stock market.
It is about what a character has to hide and what they have to protect. It explores the tension of having the power to ruin a cartel with a keystroke, but feeling terrified that your baby might sneeze and break the crib.
That juxtaposition is the heart of the story, and it is perfectly captured in the title of the book, Grace, Raising a Target.
The hosts of the Indie Fringe podcast debated the dual meaning of this title, and it really warrants discussion.
On one hand, is Grace raising Mateo to be a target? Will his very existence and his potential inherited abilities inevitably draw the eyes of the government and Cerberus?
Or does the act of raising him make her the target? By stepping out of the shadows to be a mother, by creating a physical location she refuses to leave, does she compromise the impenetrable armor she built as Mr. Rezesky?
She can't just vanish into the desert again if she has a baby in her arms.
It fundamentally alters her survival strategy. And before we wrap up, we need to return to that lingering mystery we mentioned earlier.
Oh yes. When Grace opened her mother's biometric briefcase at age 17, she found the bank accounts and the AI notebook. But she also found that locked tube containing a white substance.
Right. The mysterious third item in the briefcase.
Since Grace's entire existence as a superhuman is a result of retroviruses and modified gene editing compounds developed by her mother, we have to ask what is in that tube.
The source material leaves this as a major cliffhanger.
Could it be an antidote? Perhaps a fail-safe Elena created to turn off Grace's powers if they ever became too dangerous, or if she ever wanted to live a truly normal life.
Or, considering the title of the book, could it be an inheritance? A new compound meant specifically for Mateo.
If Elena knew the retrovirus wouldn't pass down naturally, maybe she left the means to ensure Grace's child could protect himself in a dangerous world.
It is a chilling thought. A mother leaving behind the very tools that cause so much trauma, just in case they are needed again.
It completely shifts the possibilities of where this story might go and what choices Grace will have to make.
A superpowered single mom, a phantom trillionaire empire built on predictive AI, a brilliantly petty salsa recipe leak, and a mysterious white substance that could either be a cure or a curse.
It's an incredibly rich setup.
It gives you plenty to think about regarding the burdens we inherit and the lengths we go to protect the people we love. That is something for you to mull over long after you finish listening. Keep asking those big questions, and we will catch you on the next deep dive.